Hi everyone, I'm Kajal Mehra from TimesTech, and today with us is Mr. Damian Miller. He is the co-founder of Orb Energy, and today we'll be having a quick Q&A session with him to know more about the Orb Energy's uh, updates and their innovations and many more things. So my first question for you is that how has Orb's vertically integrated model helped maintain quality and stand out in India's competitive solar market?
Good question. Okay, so um, I think a good way to begin is that probably if you were to try to find anybody else in India, and I would like to hear from anybody who might know, but if you try and find any other manufacturer of solar panels
Mm.
that can also do financing of solar systems, I think you would find that there's very few who do that in the way that we do the financing. So what we do so just to take one step back, we target the commercial and industrial sector for rooftop solar as well as ground mounted solar, but within the C&I sector we're really focused on the SME. We want to service the SME where we think we have a very good reach to the SME that is quite unique as well in the market.
Mm.
So what we do is we come to the SME, we say, okay, you as an SME, limited time, limited resources, limited everything. You don't need to look too much into the solar modules, into the solar system, into the financing, into the after sales service. You get all of it under one roof with us. So, and what's more is we sell direct. If you look at the bigger companies like Tata or Adani, they will route an SME to their channel partner. But with us, you deal directly with the company. So with the company, you're getting the module, the system, the installation, the service, and the finance under one roof. And we honestly I don't see that from any other competitor in India. And so, especially when it comes to serving the SME. And so for the SME, it's a much more seamless experience, which is the whole focus of what we do, right? Is to make sure that our customers are happy with the experience and then with the installation and the service.
Perfect. Um, so with India surpassing 180 gigawatt of renewable capacity, what key trends and challenges do you foresee in the solar sector?
So I think in the solar sector, we need to break it down between rooftop and ground mounted, right? So I think in rooftop, if you look at the original national solar mission from 2011, 2012, I think it was,
Mm.
they were looking at 40 gigawatts of rooftop by FY22, which didn't happen, right? So now we're still trying to get to, I think the number now must be, I don't know what the number is now. You could probably do the work, but I think the new target is something like 25 to 30 gigawatts by FY27. So I think there's been a lot of, I think that's the number, but just, you can also do some background research and see, but it didn't meet the aspirations of the government. When you do rooftop solar, you really come up against, the first thing you come up against is not that the product isn't competitive or doesn't have a great payback for the customer. It does. You come up against, really two things. One is for every business, especially an SME, they have other priorities in their business. They just have other things they need to spend their money on. They have other things they need to do. So getting a business to focus on this investment that will save them enormous amounts of money over time can be challenging just because they have a lot on their plate. And so that first one, so getting that, so it took time for the awareness to build of just how attractive solar is. And now that awareness is built. So if you look at it on average, the payback is between 2 and 3 years payback on a system that is and the panels are warranted for 25 years. So after 2 to 3 years, it's just free electricity for an SME customer. which is an amazing thing to think about. And rooftop, on average, we see will cover about 40% of an SME's electricity bill. And so the return on investment for an SME is astronomical. It's 60, 70% return on investment. It's a no-brainer. And I think or put another way, if an SME is paying on average 8 to 10 rupees per kilowatt hour for grid, solar over 25 years will work out as about 2 to 2.5 rupees per kilowatt hour if you spread the cost. So it is clearly, as I said, a no-brainer for a SME customer. It's very clear, and it took time for that awareness to build. So I think now back to my point, getting a proprietor to focus on, should I make this investment? Yes, I should do it. And then getting them to prioritize that investment has taken time to take up their mental space, as it were, right? For them to give it the bandwidth that it needs. So that's one. And then two, we have challenges in every state. Some states are super supportive of solar, like Karnataka, where there's no cap on the amount of solar that you can do as long as it's in line with the sanction load. There's no charge on solar, or hardly any charge on solar for rooftop. Other states will charge, like Gujarat has a significant charge on solar. Even Tamil Nadu has a charge. I mean, a per kilowatt hour charge for solar from the discom. So there are different states take different approaches. And I think for the center that wanted to get to 40 gigawatts by FY22, I think it didn't take into account enough how much resistance solar would face in certain states as solar came up. Suddenly the discoms were afraid they're losing their highest paying customers. And there was a reaction of an incumbent, typical reaction of an incumbent in an industry to push back against the innovation. And I think that's what we saw in many states, and some states were more supportive than others, and that's just how it's played out. The states where we're particularly strong, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, those states have been largely benign. And in Tamil Nadu, they have a charge, but it's a lot lower than, say, Gujarat. So state by state, discoms might push back as solar starts to come in, and I think that's what we've seen.
Okay. How is Orb Energy accelerating solar adoption and contributing to global sustainability goals?
Okay. Look, every day that I work at Orb and work with the sales teams on customer acquisition or on installation, we are trying to accelerate the sales cycle and the installation cycle. That's what we do day in, day out, right? So how do we encourage customers to make quicker decisions? And I think key to that is having our own finance. If you have your own finance, a customer might have to wait 3 to 6 months to get funding from SIDBI, SBI, or other banks. And the other thing that we do with our finance is we don't ask for any down payment and we don't ask for any collateral. Okay, so it's about making everything as frictionless as possible. And so that's by having that kind of finance, no down payment, no collateral required, it's a much more quick process through the sales cycle. So that means if your sales cycle is faster, then you can get more customers acquired. And then we keep a very big sales and service team, more than 50 personnel on our books, in addition to then hundreds of subcontracted technicians to make sure that our installation cycle is very fast. And so it's all about the speed of deployment, right? That is the key to how you can contribute. So far we've done 300 gigawatts of installations, rooftop. And we think by FY 2030 we'll be at a gigawatt of rooftop. And so you see, it took us 17 years to do 300, but in the next 6 years, I see us doing 700 megawatts. And that's because everything is picking up speed with finance, with the sales teams, with the technical teams all in place, and we can be much faster in the deployment of solar. So the whole game of climate change and mitigation of climate change is speed, right? How fast can we deploy alternative technologies? So that's And that's what we're working on. And then another part of that is making sure your customer's happy, because if they're happy, they refer the next customer who then, and that's also a shorter sales cycle. So service is also a key part. I don't want to underplay how important service is for referrals and customer to customer adoption.
Okay. Can you share insights on your Series D funding and how it aligns with Orb's vision, including a potential IPO?
Sure. So as a company now, for the rooftop business, we go to the market in one of two ways. If it's 100 kilowatt and below, we work through channel partners because the transaction costs for a smaller system are higher, and we can do that more efficiently with a channel partner. 100 kilowatt and above, we go direct to the customer.
Okay.
Both of those channels need funding and support to grow. It's about adding more channel partners, adding more sales staff, so that we can reach more customers and go into new states. So raising money is partly about building that network of both indirect and direct sales channel to make sure we reach more customers more quickly. Then another part of our business that needs money is the in-house finance. So to support customers who want to take our finance, you need to have equity coming in, which you then use to leverage debt. And so that you have a bigger pool of funds to finance customers. And that's what we're doing with the Series D as well. We're raising more money to do more financing. And then the third thing we're doing with the Series D money is we're starting to do more of what are called solar parks. So some of our SMEs have big rooftops, or put another way, they have big electricity demand, but relative to that electricity demand, their rooftop isn't big enough. So some of our SMEs who use electric furnaces in particular for melting metal, for precision components, the die casts, they have a very high electricity bill, and their roof is never big enough to get to 80 or 100% solar power from their roof alone. So you need to go offsite to a solar park. And here we do it slightly differently to others. We don't sell units of electricity from a solar park. We create a solar park and then we subdivide it according to the SME's need. So we built our first solar park in Arsikeri in Karnataka, and it was 30 megawatts DC. And we subdivided it across 12 SMEs, different size requirements. And so the average was 2.5 megawatts DC. And that means they now own that. They own the land and they own the subarray on top for that 2.5 megawatts. And they get the benefit on their electricity bill of everything they produce as electricity there. They see a reduction on their electricity bill at this point of consumption. So it's a model that's really tailored to the SME, where an SME can own the land and own the assets offsite to then enable them to get more of their electricity switched to solar than if they just use their roof.
Okay.
That also takes money. So that's the series. So just to finish the thought, that takes Series D. So we're looking to raise an equity in the region of between 160 and 200 crores as equity. And then we will, in addition to that, we'll use that to leverage debt close to about 300 crores over time for the in-house finance.
Nice. So with your growing solar parks and plan for TopCon cells, how is Orb scaling its infrastructure and tech innovations?
So I think so just to break that down into two innovations or three innovations, I think for finance was a big innovation, like being able to innovate on finance and find a way to finance SMEs with zero collateral and zero down payment and have an excellent repayment record was a big innovation. And I continue. And I think that is something that will stand us in very good stead as we scale now. Number two was a solar park innovation, where we said, we're not going to just build a solar park and then I'm not going to just sell electrons to customers. We're going to let SMEs own a part of their solar park, own the assets, and then they can get the benefit of accelerated depreciation. They can get the benefit of a lower cost per kilowatt hour. And make it work. And it worked. We built it for 12 SMEs and they came and they bought it. And so I think that's the other innovation, that offsite innovation for SMEs who need more power. So we can take our SMEs on a journey, right? You take them first on rooftop, where they get up to, average, as I said, 40% of their power needs from the rooftop, and then they can get the rest from an offsite solution. So that's another innovation that we've made work, and we're going to roll it out. And then the third, obviously, innovation, but where we're not unique, but we're keeping up with the market, is on TopCon. So where we are now making our own TopCon modules here in India. We might make them, we like to make them to a slightly smaller format. So if somebody makes 580 watts, we make it at 530 watts, because we find that a 580 watt module on a rooftop is very unwieldy. Imagine trying to install a very big module in wind. So we're a little more happy with the safety around the 530. But we're using TopCon and we're getting very high efficiency results. I think it's amazing to think when we started the company, the efficiency of a module was 14 or 15%, and now it's 22.5 to 23%. And so we're keeping up with that trend when we make our own modules. And we intend to, we'll be expanding, we'll be tripling our installed capacity under Series D of our manufacturing plants during the course of this financial year.
Okay. So Orb ranks among the top rooftop solar firms in India. What strategies will help you expand while ensuring profitability and quality?
Good question, because often when you expand, you need to add cost, right? And so it does hit your profitability during the expansion phase. But I think that's something that's just realistic. We can all cut back and consolidate and then maximize profitability. But I think part of our aim is to grow and to increase reach and scale and speed of deployment. So there is a slight trade-off between growth and profitability, but I think we manage it well, because as a company, first of all, by being vertically integrated, you make better gross margins. You make money when you manufacture a panel, you make money when you do the system, and you make money on the finance. And so when you take that margin, you see that we have really significantly above average gross margins compared to manufacturers and EPC players in India. So I think the gross margin enables us to increase our operating costs to fund the expansion and still be profitable. That's probably, and the other part to that is that when you have your own finance, when you do your own solar parks, when you've been in the business for 18 years, you can command a little better price than somebody who's new, or somebody who's small, or somebody who doesn't have financing, or somebody who doesn't have solar parks. And when you can command a better price, you make a better margin, which again helps to finance your expansion. So I think all of those things will start to build now into enabling us to grow while always remaining profitable going forward from this year on.
Okay. So this was my last question, by the way. And thank you so much, Damian, for your time and letting us know more about the Orb Energies, and your all valuable insights are really appreciable. And thanks a lot, Prateek, for hosting us. And thank you so much for watching us.
Thank you. Thank you, Kajal. It's been a pleasure. I enjoyed it. Thank you for the good questions.
Thank you so much.